Hi, folks. Welcome to the next edition of Serverless Craic. This is myself, Dave Anderson, a technical fellow at Bizarre Voice and author and contributor at the Serverless Edge.
Hi everyone, Mark McCann, architect at Globalization Partners and author and contributor at the Serverless Edge.
Hey, Michael O'Reilly, software architect with Globalization Partners and a contributor with Serverless Edge. Hello.
Very good. How's it going, everyone? So today I thought we'd talk about a big event coming up. The first book signing is on for our new book, the Value Flywheel Effect. It's at the DevOps Enterprise Summit, so that'll be interesting. Now it's a interesting event. Now, that'll be the first time we've got our hands on a physical copy of the book, so it'll be a book signing. Exciting times. It's on the 18th to 20th of October, so looking forward to that. I thought we'd just maybe talk about that. Should be good fun. It's a good conference now. The DevOps Enterprise Summit. It's run by IT Revolution, of the same group that published the book, and it's the first time they've had the event now in 3 years in real life. There's been virtual events. Usually they do them twice a year, so this is the first one that everyone's getting back together. And we'll say it's a really it's a brilliant community. It's probably the leading community, I'd say, around kind of driving change in technology.
Yeah, it's a great community, and we were lucky enough to present it a year ago, 2 years ago, at one of them, and then recently and another one as well. But they've been great, and they've been such a welcoming community, such expertise being shared freely amongst the attendees, and some of the attendees you get to mingle with is like blows your mind. All the people who've read a lot of their books, it's like it's incredible being able to interact and
Yeah.
with these people.
I always find about it is it's always sort of the representation is always from like large enterprise. You know, there's a diverse kind of mix, but it's always people at it are always people that have actually lots of awesome experience. You know, they're in there doing the job effectively. There's, you know, you're always kind of a wee bit, you know, all the massive players in all the industries are kind of, you know, at that event, which is good. Like, so.
Yeah, David, interesting thing where I think it's a really interesting organization, IT Revolution, and they focus on practitioners, not necessarily, you know, like we'll say professional authors. It's people who've done stuff and then sharing their story. It's the same with our conference. It's funny if you're talking to some person, you say, "Well, have you ever done this before?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I wrote the book on that, and we did that at some huge company." You're like, "Ah, okay, right."
Yeah.
So it's proper experts.
Well, that's the thing. It's hard to kind of get into it without kind of mentioning names and stuff. You don't want to get into that, you know. But yeah, 100%. That's like what it's really good.
It's scary and challenging trying to drive change or trying to drive transformations, and it's brilliant to be able to talk to practitioners who've done it before or done it in a different context. So, you know, it really the conference and the supporting material really does help with people who are going through that journey. It almost gives them that credibility and the validation that they're on the right path, right? They can point to a lot of the stuff that the DevOps Summit produces, a lot of their videos, a lot of their slides, and it can lend them support for what they're trying to accomplish in their own context.
Yeah, and there's a recurrent theme as well. I think a lot of people that are working in a big company in wherever. I mean, we talked to BMK recently about where he was working, and he was trying to solve these problems and found this community and went to the event and was like, wow, this is a small group doing the same thing. So it'll be interesting to see how stuff lands. Certainly now I'm planning on doing a talk on the book, the signing, and doing a couple of learning sprints. So I think we've done a few talks about the concept the past couple of years now. I'm thinking we maybe focus on the Wardley Maps, because that's what a lot of that group find super exciting. So I don't know, I'm still thinking that the learning sprints are about mapping. So I think I might put more focus on mapping in the actual talk, because it's a nice sort of way to explain the book in a funny way. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, that'll be really good. It's and we've seen this ourselves. Right? It's interesting what context you show people loads of maps, or whether you just tell them the narrative around the map, and for different audiences and different people, you know, certain things land, depending on how exposed they are to this stuff and how familiar they are with it. So it's sometimes you can throw away the maps as long as you've got them in your back pocket, rather than just talk about the talking points, and you can refer back to the map yourself. But it might land better with an audience who are totally unfamiliar with mapping, right?
No, it should be good. It should be good. I think it's a brave thing to do, but mapping is a technique. If you can stand up stage and show people, it is a mindset, and I think really what you're communicating via that is here's how we think. This is the mindset. This is why mapping works, and then being able to kind of talk to that, I think it'll be good, and plus it'll be recorded anyway, won't it? So if there'll be time to watch it back and digest it if you need a couple of takes at it. But I think it'll be good.
Yeah, one of the best things about mapping is it invites challenge. So hopefully you'll get
Yes.
somebody pointing out your flaws.
Hands up.
Your presentation, Dave. Hey, that component's in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Then you're having a proper conversation, right? That's what you want.
Exactly. We also do this idea of doing learning sprints as well. So I'll be sitting with a table full of people doing stuff. So that should be good. You kind of go through Wardley mapping and just to sort of kind of walk through that and just see how a group take to the technique. Like, so that's always fun as well. Like, again, it's always a super event because it's super collaborative. There's lots of workshops and stuff. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting how you do that in real life again after we've been doing it on Miro boards or collaborative tools for so long now. For the last sort of 3 years, it's when you actually have it in paper, does it change some of the dynamics again? Because we've been just so familiar now, just doing it online, right?
Yeah. No, I think that'll be good. And I remember I was at an Agile Summit or an Agile conference in Edinburgh a few years back, and Wardley was at that, and he was running similar kind of workshops, and to be fair, it was a really good way of actually learning the technique and being able to ask questions in a safe, sort of comfortable space. I think the team topologies guys were at that as well. I'm really sure it was in one of their groups. It could be.
I think that was XP 2016.
XP 2016. I think you're right, Dave. Actually, yeah. Like Matt Skelton did a talk at that as well, didn't he? Where they did one of those kind of drawy type models. So
yeah,
I think if you're wanting to learn mapping or whatever, why not learn it from the guys writing the book on it now? So
there you go. One of the things I think is cool about that DevOps Enterprise Summit is they've been running for around 10 years now. And there's all the books that obviously IT Revolution have written, which are all brilliant, apart from one. And but one of the things I think is neat is they have a repo on GitHub where they put all the presentations for all their talks. So there's 2 events a year, so you've got almost 20 repos full of presentations. And so I think it's GitHub at I think it's DevOps Enterprise is the name of the organization. So DevOps Enterprise. It's well worth looking up. There's hundreds of presentations there, and it's absolute the gold mine of free information. So it's definitely worth looking at. And they have some of the videos as well. Like, I mean, I think it's on events at itrevolution.com. A lot of there's a big video library. I think you have to register for it, but it's very unintrusive. Once you register, you get access, and they don't send you too many emails.
Yeah, no, it's a like we mentioned earlier, it's a fantastic supporting resource for people trying to drive change. Nothing more comforting than seeing something that resonates with what you're trying to do, the challenges you're facing. And again, you can then send it around your peers or send it around to your organization to again give you some additional support and credibility for what you're trying to do and trying to drive that adoption. And we talk about this a lot, but that level of external validation for what you're doing can really help accelerate that internal adoption for the good changes that you're trying to drive. We've definitely benefited from that in the past, where we say, hey, don't listen to us, go watch this video or go read these slides. It's a great technique to leverage.
Or even our playlists. We have 2 playlists on the IT Revolution blog, one for lean enterprise or lean engineering, and another for effective cloud adoption, which both have a bunch of videos on it. I mean, you think about it, maybe years ago, you would have been dying to get on a course and learn this stuff, and now it's just pretty much on tap. It's just incredible.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're not walking away from these things with about 10 different things that you're wanting to try or look into, and then those repositories of those resources, they're just really good just for getting your hands on it and then taking something back into your own organization as well. So, yeah, certainly, I think that's awesome.
To say there's nothing new, just different.
Yeah.
So
all right, so
have you practiced your signature for the actual having a physical copy of the book the event?
Well, Mark, as you know, as a computer programmer, I can't write, so I have to just do an X or something, or do a stamp. No one will read my writing, so yeah, I'll have to practice a signature. A couple hundred books to sign, so that'll be fun.
Well, just make sure you get
Right.
the first signature recorded, and we can post it up. There we go.
Well, there you go. I thought about that. So that's the crack. Looking forward to that. So that should be good. That's the DevOps Enterprise Summit, and I'm sure there'll be lots of videos out after that, and lots of press. Keep an eye out for that, and have a look on the Serverless Edge blog and at Serverless Edge on Twitter and on YouTube as well. Give us a wee subscribe. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone. Bye.